First of all, I'd like to thank you guys for being so personable. And my question is, you've told us about your scariest cases, but what about the cases that disturbed you the most? The ones that really touched you in a way that, maybe that we didn't see on TV, or things that really, hit close to home for you and hurt you in an emotional way?
Yeah, this isn't something that was on the show, but we did a case where the homeowners, this is back in Florida, the homeowners were terrified. The daughter didn't want to stay in the house, cried every night before she went to bed. So we got them out of the house, we did an investigation, and at one point during the evening, we heard two little kids talking to each other from this girl's bedroom. And we went in there, and the woman I was with, Sean Jones, she actually started provoking, because whatever was in there was terrifying the residents. And I saw a DVR camera that we had well taped down. I saw the tape rip up off the ground, and as the provoking started, the camera spun 180 and faced the wall. And I'll tell you what, I was like, man, we've got to help these people. That's what we're here for. And thankfully, it had a good ending. But all that evidence, all that stuff going on at once, it took me aback for a minute.
Dave, anything?
I usually don't like when we do catch an EVP and it's like a little child or something. We were talking about this yesterday, but it's not like they're being tortured, but still, it's very sad. At one point, they were being tortured. There's something, and when you hear them cry and stuff like that, it's just sad, and at least we caught them on tape. At least they were heard,
It's kind of a long list I could draw from. There are the worst cases I've seen are. I mentioned it yesterday, and I'll say it again. There was a case where we were called in, and this 9-year-old girl was, I guess, possessed. She was talking really deep, like she'd been smoking for 40 years. Her body was contorting, and she was moving very erratically. And she was able to move things that would be difficult for me to move. She was pulling down bureaus and things like that, and foaming at the mouth, things like that. And it took 4 grown men to restrain her, and that was very difficult because she was very strong, but she was still a 9-year-old girl. And once we restrained her, we used religious provocation, and she instantly fell asleep, and she slept for 2 days straight. And we found out later that her older sister was messing around with friends with some, I don't know what you want to call it, dark magic, black magic, whatever you want to call it. And they have odd concepts of ownership. And so technically, because her sister was younger than her, she owned her and was able to do these things to her. And, this was a wake-up call for that girl. And that's the stuff that affects me the most, because some people, their house is haunted and they don't have a choice. It's just there. But it's not tormenting them. But when you have negative entities or occult-type behavior, it's human beings that are alive and aware that are actually forcing negative things to happen to other people. It's just very selfish and wrong, and that's the stuff that just makes me angry. But that's kind of what affects me the most. A little too deep and heavy, but please lighten it up, Dustin.
I don't think this is a light question. It's okay.
Yeah, seriously,
No, it's not.
I honestly don't have an experience to relay that affects me in a negative way, but I have to say, and this was St. Augustine's The Lighthouse, after capturing that apparition on video and seeing it, with my own eyes, it really made me start to think about things. And Grant mentioned before, in what we do, we're not out to prove to people, or affect people's views of the afterlife and things like that. But for me personally, I started thinking I never really needed it proven to me. I've got my own beliefs, and I don't preach anything to anybody. But regardless of whatever God or goddess you may or may not subscribe to, we're all here for some reason. And I think the bottom line is, if something we do makes people think about what may happen after here, maybe we'll all just treat each other a little bit better while we are here. And I think that's pretty much the most important thing we can do. Rob is once again harassing me because the question was opposite of what I said.
No, I asked him to make it positive. He did. It was great. It was great. Make love, not war, all that stuff.
Good morning. I'm glad you guys are having a good time. Hope you come back next year. Quick question. Speaking of what scares you most, we all kind of know what scares Steve. Just kind of wondering where Barry's at, what he's up to, and like we were talking the other night, he's kind of sensitive. What scares Barry?
Oh, yeah, he is sensitive. Don't put a Lifetime movie on. He is.
That opening scene when they shoot Bambi's mom.
Barry, first of all, unfortunately couldn't make it this year. Hopefully, we're going to tell him what an amazing time we had and try and get him here next year. He is at an Irish festival right now in Kansas City. He's coming to my house for the next week in Florida because we have to fly out together 6 days from now. But what scares Barry? I think, a lot of people have asked me this over the weekend and said, Barry always runs away from things. I think that's the way it may seem on the show. I don't think it's necessarily true. I think what scares Barry more than anything is someone else getting hurt. I don't think he worries so much about himself, but he worries about his teammates.
I can second that. When I investigated with Barry,
Running after Grant, he was charging them.
yeah, I'm sitting down in this oubliette, just kind of hanging out. It's kind of comfy down there. And he's freaking out hearing footsteps, and he comes trucking up these stairs, which is very difficult to do walking, and he comes up there. And I love watching on the show because he leans over the railing and goes, "Oh dear God." And then it cuts to a commercial. It's like, I said to my wife, I said, man, if I knew what was going on right then up there because I couldn't hear anything, I would have been laying on the ground. That's what you would expect to see, but he was saying, "Oh dear God," because he was out of breath. The whole time we were at the Machine Ruins, the other place where poor Dustin had to shovel cow crap. The whole time we were over there, he was just like, "I don't like what you're doing," and he's just like, "Don't go in there, don't go in there." And of course we're Americans, so we're like, "Hey," we're blasting right through everything. And he actually left that night because we made him so uncomfortable. They're very, they're very suspicious over there. You go into the pubs and there's these tough guys, Irish guys, look like they eat nails for breakfast, and they're talking trash, and then you say, "So what do you think about the weak people?" I don't want to talk about it. It's very odd.
Good morning, guys. I have to ask, this is a question that comes up when we're watching your show, even though it's on every Wednesday night, because we TiVo you. They're in the middle of an investigation. They've made contact. Lights are flashing. Steve's freaking out. Barry's going, "Wow!" And it's called. During that point, off the camera, does somebody go, "Get them down here. We're talking to this thing"? And all of y'all converge on it and just start communicating, or does it not happen at all? Because I remember a time where Tango was talking with a ghost, spirit, whatever, and the lights on the meter were just going, and it's like, "Can you give us a sign? Can you talk to us?" And all of a sudden,
Communicating with bees, obviously.
all of a sudden, the next scene we see is Jay going, "Hey guys, it's been a really rough night. It's been 12 hours." Did you guys come in and start talking to the thing, or did it just?
Well, the way we do it is we separate into teams, obviously, and each team is free to have their own experience, and we work separately from each other. And honestly, if Dave and Steve are getting some crazy activity, the last thing I want to do is barge in there and be like, "Hey guys, what's going on?" And all the activity would stop. So you want to let it peter out on its own, and then they come and tell us what happened, and we'll go to the same area and try it out. But you got to remember, it takes 2 weeks about to film a case, and that's if it airs. So you got 2 weeks of footage boiled down to 43 minutes. It gets awkward when you watch it. Yeah, right, exactly. But That's why there are these huge gaps between seasons.
Thank you.